If Amazon can cut 14,000 jobs 62 days before Christmas, what makes you think that your job would not cut you?
Amazon isn't having problems. Amazon is simply removing problems. It's removing 30,000 problems because all the different robots that they're replacing these people with.
I was laid off by Amazon. I was one of the 14,000 employees that were affected today. They sent out an email at 5 a.m.
Today, I was laid off at Amazon. I am one of the 14,000 employees impacted.
Your friendly neighborhood Amazon just announced this week that they plan to lay off up to 30,000 employees. And we all know right now in this economy, it's not the time that you want to get laid off. It's not the time where you want to remove your consistent income that you rely on to have your standard of living. So in today's video, we're going to be reacting to these videos, not only of employees, but of people who are sharing what's happening with Amazon and why they have 30,000 employees at risk of getting laid off. Let's get into the first video.
Amazon laid off 30,000 people today. The narrative is that this is about AI replacing jobs. The reality is very different, and I want to be really precise about it because it gets at corporate structure and finance and not really at AI in the way you think. So when people think AI layoffs, they think the robots are doing the jobs now, and therefore we are having layoffs. No, the people who are doing the jobs are more stressed if they're still at Amazon, but the AI automation story isn't actually hitting those jobs. What is hitting those jobs and is related to AI is the cost of chips. So NVIDIA sells chips to everyone, GPUs. Those chips are how we power AI, and none of the major cloud providers can get enough chips right now. Microsoft can't, Google can't. Google's in an easier spot, they have TPUs, and Amazon definitely can't. In fact, people don't know this, but AWS has a roughly 25% burning backlog on GPUs. In other words, they are missing out on revenue because companies are begging for more compute from AWS that they can't fulfill because they can't buy GPUs because they only had so much budgeted to buy GPUs. And so, yes, the layoffs are related to AI, but in this case, it is burning corporate demand for GPU chips that is hitting the capital expenditure budget of Amazon so hard that they need to find other ways to reduce fixed costs so they can meet the expectations of Wall Street around the overall margins of the business. And you might be like, well, why does that matter? They're all like billion-dollar companies. In Amazon's case, their margins have always been notoriously thin everywhere except AWS. Retail is like a ridiculously thin business. But the AWS margins have been really good. And so the street, for better or worse, expects them to continue growing the high margin business at a good clip. The street was not happy with their 18% year over year growth rate this quarter. And the street is looking for them to pick that growth rate back up, which they cannot do if they cannot buy more chips. And they cannot buy more chips without destroying their margin unless they can cut costs other places. And chips are so expensive that the only way they can cut costs is by going after jobs or fixed costs or salaries. And that is what is happening. And so
I'm gonna pause right there because a lot of people don't recognize that Amazon doesn't make a lot of profit from you buying their stuff online. I can't tell you how many times I've seen online where people are like, let's boycott Amazon. I'm canceling my Prime membership. I'm canceling Amazon. I'm not going to buy from them anymore. Let's support small businesses. And that sounds productive, but the truth is, one, Amazon doesn't get most of their profits from you buying on their online store. They have something called AWS. Once upon a time, when Amazon first began, they created a whole bunch of computers that allow people like you to shop on Amazon at the same time. That takes a lot of computer muscle. The problem is, some periods during the year, traffic dies down on how often people purchase things online. For example, it's about to be December. So people are going to do a lot of online shopping on Black Friday and for their holidays. Opposed to summer where people are outside more, they may not buy from Amazon as much. So what Amazon does is they rent out that computer space that they bought and they rent it out to third-party companies. How many of you knew that Netflix actually is one of the customers of Amazon? When you watch Netflix, those movies, some of that data is on Amazon-owned computers. They have a huge demand problem, which is good to have, but they obviously don't want to go in debt for it as a company, and they obviously want to get the cash that they're already using and reinvest it back into the business somewhere else. So this is where this 30,000 estimate of laying people off is coming from. Let's look at some of the comment sections to see what some people had to say about this video. One person mentioned that, notice they gave up no yachts or jets or mansions. They sacrificed the people who built their wealth for them instead. And then somebody commented under that and said, it's almost like the point of a business is to make money. What are your thoughts about this? Like, don't get me wrong. Businesses definitely need to make money in order to stay in business. Otherwise, you don't have a business. It's a hobby. It's an expensive hobby at that. At the expense of laying off employees, some people feel very emotional about that. Now, personally, I believe business is business. I believe you should treat people right, but we've all got to recognize as civilians, whether you're an entrepreneur or someone who works a 9 to 5, you are working for a company and your task may not be directly tied to sales or income, but you matter in that machine because they want to generate revenue. One person said, I was let go at Amazon today. It's really depressing, especially because internally the AI success has been mediocre in many meaningful ways. To be laid off via an email felt so soulless. This is deep. And I hate to hear that people are getting laid off via email or period. You know, it sucks being laid off. I got laid off from a job like not too long ago, not even a year ago, right? And it was because they didn't see me as one of the top people in the company. It sucks either way, through an email, through a phone call, through face-to-face. I had it face-to-face. Let me know in the comment section down below, have you ever been laid off and what was the reason why? One person said, NVIDIA, once again, proving to be the backbone of every big company. I'm not going to hate on NVIDIA, literally. Like, I'm not going to hate on NVIDIA. I made almost $300 from NVIDIA this week. Okay, like my investment has almost doubled with NVIDIA within almost the past 6 months. Another person said, didn't we all stop buying and supporting Amazon, bankrupt them the way they furiously fired 30,000 workers? There's plenty of companies that still lay off thousands of people. And let's just say Amazon has 1 million employees. They lay off 1%. Do you know what 1% of 1 million is? If you don't know, do the math, because even if they laid off 1%, then that's thousands of people. It really comes between being more profitable or not being more profitable.
I need you to understand one thing. If Amazon can cut 14,000 jobs 62 days before Christmas, what makes you think that your job would not cut you? What makes you think your job is safe? Guys, we are living in times where employers don't give a damn about you being a 3-time employee of the month, a 3-time employee of the year, how much brown nosing you do, how much overtime you work, how much sacrificing you did for the company, neglecting your family. They don't care, guys. These jobs only care about the income that they can make for the company. And they're going to pay you as less as possible, but work to get the most out of you to accomplish that. And if they have to cut you to meet those numbers, those analytics, then guess what? Get ready, because they're going to treat you like trash going out on a Friday. Being somebody who knows, because that's what happened to me at my job. But not only that, guys, 84 million people are supposed to lose their jobs in 2025 thanks to layoffs and firings. And this should be a clear sign to you that if the big tech companies can lay off people who are making hundreds and $200 an hour, what do you think they'll do for you making $15 to $20 an hour?
I'm gonna pause right there because he's speaking facts. Again, his first touching point was these jobs don't care about you. A lot of us come in with the expectations of getting paid, making a living, and having a dream job. But later on, as you start to work that job more and get tired of that job, you start to think, man, why don't they care about me? It could be the job, but you got to focus on what you can control. My guy right here is explaining how jobs just don't care about you. And if they're going to profit, which is the reason why they exist in the first place, is because they've built up profit before they even hired you. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to hire you. Some people in the comments said robots are taking over humans and are no longer needed. I think this is far from the truth, especially right now. How many times have you seen a robot walking around doing a human job? Not too often. Even if you look in Amazon in the warehouses, yeah, they have robots moving around and stuff. That's cool, but they're not replacing humans at this point. Another person commented, job versus trade is a big difference, and you need 3 income careers. I am 110% agreeing with this one right here. Like, not only 3, like I have a financial plan, and I don't share this with too many people, but I have a financial plan of me having 10 income streams. That's not going to come from me just working a 9 to 5. That's going to come from me using my 9 to 5 to fuel those 10 other income streams. And it's going to work because I'm going to work it. And that's what we have to ask ourselves is, what can I do outside my job that's going to allow me to not depend only on my job? Another person in the comment section said, my job isn't safe. We're just a number. The truth is, it sucks. It doesn't feel good hearing that you're just a number. The sooner we realize that the job is using you so they can create a number, is the sooner that you will be able to accept the truth of you using their numbers that they give you and using it to expand yourself.
Amazon isn't having problems. Amazon is simply removing problems. It's removing 30,000 problems because all the different robots that they're replacing these people with aren't going to complain. They're never going to want unions.
This is just going to imply more fear towards moving towards AI, right? Which the world is already going to do, and you can't control it. But they're not going to replace these 30,000 employees with the AI robot. They didn't remove these employees because they were complaining. They removed these employees because they needed to create computing space to serve what the market is asking for. They were literally laying off corporate workers. And in a few minutes, we're going to go cover what some of the employees have to say who did get laid off. And one person said in the comments section, people always defend the rich by saying they provide jobs. So what about now? And one person responded to that saying Amazon still employs 1.55 million people. 30,000 is a scratch. And they were like corporate workers replaced with AI. And again, this is a business. Why are we expecting something to not change when that's what businesses do that have survived? You think Walmart has always had online shopping? You think Amazon always sold all these products? They started off with books. They started off selling books. They took the brick and mortar bookstore companies out of business. There's a movie about Jeff Bezos, and it was talking about, like, it explained how Jeff Bezos got an offer from the owner of Barnes and Noble back in the day when he started Amazon, and he got an offer of $1 million. Barnes and Noble was trying to buy Amazon from Jeff Bezos for $1 million because they saw the capabilities of Amazon. They knew it was going to be big, but they were only selling books at the time. Barnes and Noble still exists, but when was the last time you were at a brick and mortar bookstore? If you've been at a brick and mortar bookstore that's not Barnes and Noble, let me know, please. And don't say the library, okay? Another comment said, why are we surprised? As decades went by, human labor just keeps getting replaced by machines. Yo, this can't be more real. My mom used to tell me stories about how she used to work for a newspaper company and how she had to use a typewriter. How if she had a typo, she had to remove the whole contraction because there was no way to remove the letter unless you use whiteout, but her teacher or professor didn't like that, so she had to start the whole thing over again. These days, you talk to your phone, you talk to your laptop, you talk to your car, you talk to your watch, and it writes out the letters. And if it's a typo, you delete it. But you also got autocorrect. How many people don't have a job from that type of technology? Even the same company has products that destroy older products. For example, the iPod Nano. But everybody has an Apple Watch and everybody has an iPhone. So there's no more iPod Nanos. There's no more iPod Touch.
I was laid off by Amazon. I was one of the 14,000 employees that were affected today. They sent out an email at 5 a.m. Seattle time. I think so that people don't have to go to the office if they are laid off. I'm still processing what It just happened. I guess I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for what to think, what to feel. If that actually happens to me, I will have 90 days to find a job within Amazon, and then after that, if I don't find a job, I will have some severance package, which will last for a few more months. So that's not bad. Yeah, if you want to follow through to see what's happening with me.
I genuinely feel for this guy, not just because he has soft music playing in the background. That definitely may have helped, but I definitely feel for him because it sounds like he was caught off guard. You know, it sounds like he actually enjoyed his job. It sounds like, you know, he was comfortable at his job, which is a lot of us do because we know we're going to get that paycheck every 2 weeks, you know, and it's just something hard to accept because once they tell you you're laid off, it's like, man, did I plan for this? I know I've been saving, but like, do I have enough? And how quick can I find another job? And you feel rejection. Like, I know how that feels. One person said same after 9 years, they got laid off. Another person said and asked what was his position. So he responded, I'm marketing in Amazon ads. So he was working in corporate in Amazon. This is coming from the creator himself. Another person commented, dang, but they still hiring for warehouse? I got an email for operations managers. Are they laying off those positions off as well? And the creator responded, yes, the layoff affects corporate workers only. One person commented, operations has the best job security. Come run an Amazon warehouse. When people say job security, run, because there's no such thing. And I don't know what better time we need to use this as an example that there is no such thing as job security. I have friends and family who are part of working in the government. And look what's happening right now. Furlough, government shutdown. Okay, they've been getting paid for years. But what happens? Even the government has holes in it. Even the biggest, most successful companies in this country, the US, has holes in it. Another person said, well, one positive outlook on it is you don't have to work the rest of the year. Get paid, enjoy your holidays. There's a big problem with this. It has to do with him saying you don't have to work. How many people have been looking for jobs in this economy and haven't been able to work? Like, even if you get laid off, be grateful for the opportunity and use that as motivation to never be in that position again, to where you're just depending on one person or one job in order for you to have a living. You have 2 legs. You don't depend on one. You have 2 arms. You don't depend on one. You have 2 eyes. You don't depend on one. But you can also have multiple streams of income, just like you use 2 legs, just like you use 2 arms, just like you use 10 fingers, just like you use 2 eyes.
Today, I was laid off at Amazon. I am one of the 14,000 employees impacted. I was senior social media manager in Amazon ads, and earlier this month, I actually celebrated my 1-year anniversary, or Immiversary as they like to call it. And it was the closest I've ever come to a dream role. I was working social media marketing and tech, something I would have dreamed about and wished for in college. I was flown out to work my first Cannes Lion in the south of France, of all places. I interviewed celebrities on the red carpet, some that I had fangirled over since I was a little kid. But most importantly, I worked at a globally recognizable company that I knew made my immigrant parents proud. And even my grandma knew what Amazon was because of the packages we get on our doorstep. And fast forward to today, it also actually is exactly 1 week from my birthday. I guess my present from Amazon just came a little bit early. But that's all to say, I am feeling all the feels. I feel really grateful for sure that I got to live out a corporate dream for a year. But I guess that's the thing about dreams. They shift and transform, and I believe that my next dream is out there waiting for me. I don't know what it looks like or what it'll be, but stay tuned because we'll figure it out.
I love her attitude. When I make these reaction videos, these are my first time like watching these videos, but she has the mindset that I was just explaining in the last clip, which is literally to have a positive mindset. You don't have to work. You get to work, because people who have to work, you don't have to. You could go out here and not have a job. But she has such of a positive mindset that I love it. I feel like she's definitely going to be in another dream job where she has learned a lesson to, hey, like, even though this is a great job and I've been here, you know, she was there for a year, which is kind of crazy, but don't put your expectations that high in a job, especially if you're not the business owner. You're not. So you don't get to call the shots. They tell you when to come in, they tell you when to leave, they tell you how much you get paid. All right. And that's cool and all, because you'll have consistent pay as long as they don't lay you off. But when they lay you off, you got to question yourself. What made me end up in this position, and how could I prevent myself from being in this position again? And it's not canceling a company because they're laying off people. It's not that. It's you setting yourself up for success to have multiple streams of income. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. What are your thoughts about Amazon laying off an expected 30,000 people? Are you mad or canceling your Prime memberships? Or are you learning a lesson through other people's lives? Let me know in the comment section down below. We'll have a conversation. I will see you in the next video. I'm out.